that I didn't want to follow in the footsteps of my father. I never knew the man. I never disrespected him. And one thing I do commend when I lived in Arizona, and I was friends with knew a lot of people that was Hispanic. And a lot of them didn't have the greatest father, but they didn't tear down their fathers like black men do. They didn't talk about their fathers the way they did. They still had respect for their fathers, even though their fathers probably wasn't even around. I never saw them tear down their fathers like black people do. Like black athletes, when they make it big, the first thing they holler, oh, my father wasn't in my life. Okay. But tell me how many white athletes or Hispanic athletes get on national television and tear down their fathers. But black men won't tear down their mother. Even though when I've been raised by some black guys, man, that mom, had plenty of guys and put the guys before them. Oh, it's detrimental. You don't tear down your mom. But dad is fair play. Let me tell you something. My dad did not raise me. But not one time did my mother ever disrespect him. My mother used to tell me when I used to ask about my dad, she said, I'll let you make your own opinion of your father. But these days, mothers teach their children to disrespect their fathers. To say he's a deadbeat dad. All right, if he is, that's fine. It's not good. I remember one day I went into the store. I was a little kid, and we was on food stamps. And I went into the store, and the store was in the town I lived in. And I went to the counter, and I had these food stamps, and it was a white lady at the counter. And she said some of the most horrible things to me. I was a little kid at that time. And she was like, there they go sending you in with these food stamps. And, this is nothing but my taxpayer money taking care of you people. And, y'all just come in here and y'all just get away. And for a long time, I was mad at that white woman. I was mad. I was very angry at her. But then as I got older, I began to get angry at my father because if he would have supported me, I would have never had to go in there and be humiliated like that. I no longer blamed her. I blamed the person that skipped on their responsibilities. So that's why I lived in the projects, and that's why a lot of white people, when they look at us, that's the first thing they know. Oh, their father's not there. Look at them. They're here on welfare and everything like that. You can't blame them for that. That's what they see. If I see a man who's smoking crack all the time, every time I see him, unless he show me something different, I'm going to call him a crackhead. Perception is everything. And I made up in my mind that I would never leave my children. Even if me and their mother would have never worked out. I have been with my wife for over 30 years, and I've raised my children. I never wanted to embarrass my children. I never wanted them to hear my name on the street, or dad was with this woman or that woman, or someone came to say your dad was like this. I always was aware of my surrounding and always did not want my children to ever have to defend something stupid that I did. I showed my sons what a man was. I showed my daughters what a man does. The best thing a man could ever do for his children is to love their mom. Now, I do have an older son, and this was out of wedlock. And let me tell you something. I do understand why some black men get frustrated. Because some women use their child as a check. I love my older son, and I love him today. But I will never disrespect his mother, because that is his mother. But when you play games with a man's child, a man who loves his child, a man who wants to raise his child, you damage that relationship between them. And that child grows up thinking that his father never loved him, and never wanted him to be a part, and that was never my case. I went and put myself on child support even after this woman told me that this child was not mine, and I know he was mine. I fought with her. But as a man, even though she fought me to be the father to my son that I wanted to be. I made sure, if I couldn't do nothing else financially, that he was going to be okay. And what I'm saying now is to the black neighborhood. Even Jesus said, I came to my own. Before we can go out and have people to respect us, we got to be men and go in and gain the respect that we deserve. Our young people need us. They need to see the image of a true man. We can fight about it, we can argue about it, but you think anyone is going to respect us when they see Chicago burning down? But yet we got on Black Lives Matter, and our young people are dying every day. You see, there's one thing that killed me that I didn't understand. As black people, we are one of the biggest consumers in America. But we can't seem to come together and build. We did it once before. We had the Black Wall Street. So don't tell me that we can't build. We can't get our own banks. We're more richer than black people was back there ever. We got more black millionaires than billionaires. How did you think that JP Morgan and all these Chase banks were started? There was people that came together And then we get angry when we go to their banks and wonder why we are not treated the same way. When we have the power to do it ourselves. I was kind of disturbed that soon as Biden and Harris announced that they was going to run for president, it said they raised over $50 million. I'm going to ask you, what party has ever done anything for black people? Really? You know, I look at all the other nationalities. When I went to Arizona, I used to see how the Hispanics, they would come together. They have a shop open here, and then the other one would open another shop over there. And you know what? They didn't even have to like each other, but they didn't want you in there. They made sure their people was taken care of. I don't discriminate against no one because I learn from people. I remember when my wife was an RN and she was working for a Scottsdale hospital. And she was working down there in the trauma unit, and a Jewish guy who was a millionaire stockbroker was driving. He was an older man, and he got T-boned, and he broke his neck. And he needed someone to come and work, and give him a shower and everything like that. And because my wife worked there, she told me, she said, hey, it's this gentleman, he needs help. And I told her, I worked at night, and he needed someone just to come and give him a shower. His wife was there, but just to make sure he eat and, just do certain things for him. And I took the job. But at that time, I was living in Arizona, and I had a black, it was a 89 black Vandenbilt Jaguar. Black, beautiful, all inside. So I would drive this car to this man's house. He had a big house in Scottsdale, way out there in Scottsdale, big, beautiful home. And I would go and I would, take care of him and everything. So one day I was out there with him, and he had this circular driveway that went in front of his house. And I drove my car up, I'm getting out, I'm looking good, hey, I'm flossing. And we went into his house and we sit down. He said, Mark. I said, yes, sir. He said, that is a beautiful car that you're driving. He said, I don't even have one of those. He said, what is it? I said, it's a 1989 Jaguar Vandenbilt. Top of the line, had little trays in the back. Beautiful peanut butter colored seats. And he asked me a question that blew my mind. He said, where you parked that beautiful car at? What do you mean why I park it at? I said, I park it. Me and my wife live in an apartment complex. We park it there. He said, those kind of cars are supposed to be parked in garages, not apartment complexes. Why would you get that without getting a home? Get the home first and then get that, and then you can park it somewhere where it's supposed to be. He looked at me. He said, Mr. Williams, can I ask you a question? I said, yes, sir. At that time, I'm kind of heated. He told me, he said, why do black people floss before they get money? And we don't floss. And we don't floss until we got money. He said, now do that make sense of driving that expensive car and you don't even own a home? He said, you know what, if you lose your job today, do you got enough money to pay that car off? I'm going to tell you people, when I left his house, I was so mad. I was like, how he going to tell me about me? But you know what? He was right. Couldn't afford to get the car fixed if the car would have broke down. And I went to him and I told him, thank you. I got rid of the car. And you know what he did for me? He said, Mark, I was telling him one day, I said, me and my wife was buying our first home. And he told me, he said, well, he said, you come on over tomorrow when you get off from work. I said, well, I don't work on Saturdays or Sundays for you. I work through the week. He said, but come by. I want to talk to you. And I came by and he went into his office. And he said, Mr. Williams, he said, first of all, I want to apologize to you. I said, why you want to apologize to me, sir? He said, first of all, in my mind, as I grew up, he said, I was always taught that black men was lazy. They steal from you. They couldn't be trusted. That all they want to do is take your woman. They didn't raise their children. And they don't listen. They always looking for a handout. And he said, I have to apologize to you. He said, because I've laid stuff around my Rolexes, my jewelry, money. And he said, Mr. Williams, you never took none from me. You talk about your beautiful children and your wife. You work 2 jobs. You leave one and come here. And you always talk about how you want to provide for your children. And you told me that you want to buy a house. And this Jewish man slid me a check for $10,000 for a down payment on my first home. He told me, he said, Mark, because you got rid of that car and you were willing to listen to reason, he said, I believe that I could trust you to do the right thing. I told him, I can't pay you back no $10,000. He said, it wasn't for you to pay it back. He said, you showed me something different. And he said, I would ever go to my grave knowing that someone told me a lie about the black man. I said, we all have bad in our races. And I thanked him. And I bought my first house because we didn't let racial difference stop us. What I'm trying to tell you, black man and black woman, rioting, breaking windows, burning your neighborhood, people are not going to change their view about you. We've been rioting and burning up stuff for years. Nobody's going to invite you to the table if they feel that you're too stupid to sit down. I was trained up first to respect myself. That no matter what color I was still a man. Nobody could ever take that from me. And no matter how I was treated, that God was the equalizer. I always believed if I do right, it'll come back to me. So you can run around here and have a problem with the white Jesus. You can have a problem with the black Jesus. Let me tell you something. If a man was getting ready to shoot you in your head and a Chinese man stepped in front of that bullet, would you give a damn what color he was?